Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. Goodness, it's Friday already, and Christmas is right around the corner. It's crazy. So Joe and I have gotten back together again to chat, just talk about what's going on in the world and our country, and talk about the Great Awakening. And glad to
Yeah.
have you back. Hope you're doing well. You want to say a few
Uh,
things?
yes, it's a pleasure to be back. It's so good to be back. I know we were going to go on earlier in the week, but some things came up. But I was like, no, we got to go on this week. So it's good to be with you this Friday. Good to be on with your subscribers and those who are listening. And get ready for a good show today. We're going to talk about
Oh
some
yeah,
good
it's
things.
gonna be fun. Always exciting. Well, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me. Glad you could do this. So we'll go ahead and get started. Did you have anything you wanted to start us off with, or?
Yeah, I wanted to talk just a little bit about the Gematria first.
Great.
And we can get in talking about what the Great Awakening is about and all that too. But I love now I love numbers. It's funny. Let me give you some history. When I was younger and in school, for some reason I hated math. I mean, it seems like once I got into grade school, first grade all the way to the 12th, soon as I got into first grade, it was just like, I hated math, even though I knew how to, do my addition, subtraction, multiplication, all that we had to learn. It was cool, and I was learning it, but it was just like, why don't I love numbers? Like, why don't I, like this stuff? But it seems like after, I guess, I left college, and after college and all the schooling, I began to notice some things about numbers. First of all, I began to notice how in my personal life, it got to a point that for some reason, every 10 years was kind of like a new beginning for me. Like things were happening. Every nine years, something would happen that would transition me into that next year, into that 10th year. So I have a cycle of 10 years where it's like a new beginning. And I began to notice that, and I began to notice, other things about numbers, and especially in the Bible.
Yes.
Especially in the Bible. So when you look at Hebrew Gematria, you look at the scriptures, one of my favorite numbers is actually 3. Because of course that's the number of the Godhead, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
All
And
right.
so from 3, you can get a whole lot of things out of 3. And it's like you can even get into the number 12, which I'm very keen about, because I look at 12 as a number of government, a number of like order, because look, you have the 12 tribes of Israel. And also you have, let me see, you have the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
You have the 12 disciples, right? And then another thing which is very special about 12 is that in Gematria, of course, you can add the 2 together. So 2 plus 1 equals what? 3. So here you go back to that 3, and it's like, everything could just kind of comes around in the order of God. It's certain numbers. And then of course you have the number 7.
Oh my, yes. Isn't that the number of perfection, or no? Do I have that wrong?
Yes,
I'm still trying to learn.
Yes, a number of perfection, completeness. And so you look at 7, and you got the 7 churches that's talked about in Revelations, and 7 times 70. How many times should I forgive a person? 70 times 70.
Right.
That's kind of the completion of of being able to forgive people. And you get so many things out of 7. And so as I begin to really look at numbers in the Bible, I began to look at my own life and apply it to my own life. And I believe all of us have a certain life cycle, a number of life cycles where certain things happen. And I would really encourage people to, look, try to find out what your life cycle is. Some people maybe every 10 years, or some people maybe every 3 years, certain things happen, or every certain amount of days or months. When you start to apply numbers to your life, you'll begin to see a lot of things. And as we've talked about before, God speaks through numbers. He really does numbers.
I have a question for you too. I've been looking into, like, I think Gematria is a little different than like biblical numerology. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm kind of looking at those a little bit differently. So I don't know if you understand the difference or what you know about,
No, to me, because it's like,
or is it all the same?
yeah, for the most part. Now there may be different rules, I would say, to gematria. Gematria as a whole is, different. Comparing that to biblical gematria, maybe some different rules to it or different ways of it. But I've always stuck with the biblical way, and
Right.
like the other ways, the only other way I've seen, which I didn't know, like, as far as taking the zero out and,
Right.
or being able to add the two numbers together and different things like that, that kind of like really took me to like a whole nother level of like, wow, okay, that makes sense. But the thing about gematria is somewhere down the line, it always means something. Like, for
Right.
instance, when you just take, let's say, um, how many days are in a year? You know what I mean? And you take those numbers and add them up. It always it can always fall on a certain time of the year where something happened, or a certain amount of even years, 50 years or 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
You could always look through the history and look through the numbers and put the numbers together and kind of decode things. And
Right.
there's always a meaning in it.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always you can always find a meaning in it. So it's not a thing where you should kind of separate the two, unless you can't really decode certain numbers don't go together, or
Right.
you decoded things and found out that, okay, this number doesn't go with that number, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always a meaning to every.
Yeah.
There's always a meaning.
Yeah, I think that's what it all comes back to, no matter how you do it. It's understanding the meaning of, yeah, because I was trying to look up, because I've been learning about gematria, and it's, how we assign value to letters, and then you add it up to a value and that kind of thing. And then I was looking at biblical numerology, or just looking at numerology, because I know we've been taught the wrong thing about that, and that the numbers have meaning. So I don't know, somehow it's all connected. I'm still trying to figure it out. Still trying to figure out,
Yeah, yeah.
make
Me
sense of it.
too. Me too. As far as like the deeper meaning, because there's different levels to it. I mean, it's like,
Right.
it's just like with decoding things. It's like, one is A, two is B.
Right.
Just the normal regular gematria, and there's so many different levels to it. And that's where revelation comes in, where God reveals to you, or he uses certain people that can help you to learn what these numbers mean, and point those numbers to different situations and connect them with different things that happen within our life.
Right.
uh, but what I do with gematria is I'm always led by the Holy Spirit, and guiding me and teaching me on what this number means. Because sometimes you have dreams. It's
Uh-huh.
like when you have dreams, you have a certain number of things that are in the dream, or you can even see numbers in your dreams, and it's like it all means something. And I tend to ask God, well, what is this number? You keep showing me this number 1111,
Right. Oh yeah.
or
Yeah.
you keep showing me nine. The number nine.
Right.
And so we know what these numbers mean.
Mm-hmm.
Now we do, but it was like God had to kind of reveal those things to us, because it's like we wouldn't have known if they weren't revealed to us.
Right. Yeah. And then when I first started learning gematria, there are different people that I learned it from, but like I even went to the library to look for books on it, and I couldn't find anything. There's like nothing. So it's like it's been
Yes.
hidden from us. All
Yeah.
this information about it and what it means, and it's totally been hidden from us. So I was like, I think I found the word gematria in one book, and it was some book on like the occult or something. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so not only did they hide it, they tried to push it into something really weird that you want to avoid. And so
Yeah.
that's just been eye-opening for me, just
Yeah.
and then trying to find websites and stuff on it. So yeah,
Yeah.
have you known about gematria for a while, or?
Yeah. I've known about the word gematria, but I've known about numbers meaning things.
Okay, I understand.
The gematria. Once I found out about it, it was like, oh, this is kind of like, I guess in a sense, decoding. Because we used to do decoding in school,
Right.
and I didn't know that that had a lot to do with gematria, so to speak. So once I've learned gematria and how to decode things and stuff like that, it was just like, oh, okay, I could kind of do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess the gematria and numerology pretty much kind of go hand in hand in a sense, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
as I've learned, I mean, they both kind of, feed off of each other. I mean, you can find out different things if you kind of connect the two. But
Right.
when I started really reading things in the Bible, and I've noticed that the Bible use a lot of numbers, a certain amount of things, certain numbers, and it was
Exactly.
like this is not a coincidence. Like there's something to these numbers. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like, why did Jesus choose only 12, or why are there only 12 tribes of Israel, or why did God only take 7 days to create?
Exactly. Right.
So it's different things. And so you begin to realize that, well, God, allowed numbers to come into existence for a reason.
That's right. It all belongs to him. It all goes back
Yeah.
to, it belongs to him. Yeah, because then you think of the number 40, you see that a lot in the Bible.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The 40 days that Jesus was in the desert, and other ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head other than that. But yeah, so different numbers are really important.
Yeah, that's how it was with Moses. His timeline was kind of like every 40 years, something
Right.
he had that same timeline. And, I believe was he 40 when they crossed the sea, when the waters departed, I believe.
Parting of the
I'm not
Red
sure if he
Sea.
was, yeah, the parting of the Red Sea. I think that was a part of his 40-year cycle when that happened. That actually felt
Yeah.
like a 40-year cycle with him with that happening. And then, of course, the children of Israel being in the wilderness for I think it was 40 days, and it was like, or 40 years. Was it 40 years? I
Wasn't
think it
he?
was like,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
think
think it was,
wasn't. Go ahead.
I think it was about 40 years or something like that. So it's like a different 40-year cycle where things kind of happened within his life.
Yeah, because I thought I read somewhere where it was like it was 40 years that he was in Egypt before before he left Egypt, and then he was out. He was like a farmer or sheep herder or something, and before
Yes.
God called him. The burning bush called him, and then so yeah, it's like like you said, 40-year cycles. Yeah, I just read that somewhere. I forget where, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you can, it's just amazing how the numbers fall in place.
Right. If we would take the time to notice them, I don't think for me, it's like, I mean, I noticed the numbers. I was like, yeah, whatever, but they're really important. They really make a lot of sense.
Yes. And so then, that's also a part of being in this great awakening.
Yes.
Because now, most recently, since Gematria started coming up and I started really looking into it, it's just like, it helped me to become even more awake, to see what happened in the past that proves the future.
Yes.
And so you look at a certain number, certain years, certain dates, things that happen on certain dates and all these things. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. Like, it just kind of makes you, it wakes you up to what could possibly happen in the future based on whichever timeline, that is going with,
Right. Right.
So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Very true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time for a great awakening. So we're in a great awakening. We're in a great awakening right now. And in talking about the great awakening, it's good that more people are waking up because they're choosing to wake up. You know what I mean? It's like
yes, for
it's
sure.
It's like us. It's like we had to make the choice to wake up. I mean, we like you said, with numbers, you see the numbers and this and that, and you kind of brush it off. But we got to the point where it's just like, okay, there's something to all this. What is this? What is going on here? And then you do your research and all these things. And that's what this great awakening is about. It's about us making a choice to consider first what's being said and what's being shown.
Right.
And then the more we consider, the more God reveals to us what is true and what is, false. And that's how you begin to wake up, because it's all about receiving the truth. It's not the great awakening. The great awakening is not just about receiving knowledge. Anybody can receive knowledge of whatever, but it's about receiving the truth. Right. Knowledge of the truth. Right. And so when you receive knowledge of the truth, then it's easier for you to wake up to the truth and know what is true or not. And of course, we know God is true and he reveals the truth to us. He wants us to know the truth. The devil doesn't want us to know the truth.
Oh
That's why he's the God of darkness. Darkness is all about ignorance. It's all about keeping people, not knowing.
Right. And then we can't make good decisions not knowing, you know what I mean? And we just, and if we know the truth, then we can take action and, do better and have better lives. So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. And it's like, the Bible says, Jesus says, they shall know the truth and the truth shall make them free.
Right.
So that's a part of slavery, is not knowing the truth. Being ignorant to the truth is slavery.
Yes, that's true. Very, very true.
So the Great Awakening is about coming out of slavery and coming into freedom.
Oh my, yes. And who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But unless you're somebody who's gotten comfortable with what's been going on for so many years, right, and has gotten complacent with everything that's happening in your life and all that stuff, it's just like, you won't even think about it. And see, the one thing about the devil, he's a master of deception.
Oh my.
And he knows how to keep people in bondage, especially those who are not willing to consider truth. And if you're just somebody who just goes with the flow of, this worldly system, then you're going to be stuck and you're going to be enslaved, But
exactly.
We don't want to be slaves. We want to be free.
Oh my, yes. Do we ever? There's so many good things coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh so yeah. Many. So many.
Even now, I mean, we see like different things that are happening in the news, and you see key people that are resigning, so to speak, and you see a lot of truth coming out, about this whole beast thing that's taking place and all these different variants, and people are saying this, and then they're taking back their word and saying, no, that's not it. Do this, or no, this is not working. So now do this. And it's like, come on,
people, wake up so we can get through this.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're saying. They're like, look, just be compliant, get the beast thing, and everything will go back to normal. What?
Not gonna happen.
No. That's not going to happen. That's not what y'all want. Y'all want to keep us enslaved.
Exactly.
And that can't happen. So, we all have to wake up, and once we're awoke, we need to help to wake up others.
I want to ask you, how do we do that? I have tried like family and a few friends, and I have, they don't want to hear it. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm positive and so hopeful, and I'm hopeful like for 100 people, I'm just like, I just want to like share it. It's so hard. It really is.
It is. I mean, and for some people, I'm gonna honestly say, I don't know how to, help to wake them up. But I've always learned that you're always going to have people who are going to be stuck and be stubborn in what they already know, and what they want to believe, and all those things. So it's like those people you can only pray for, and I mean, you can throw some seed and some bait out to them, but other than that, only thing you can do is pray for them,
right.
But if you really want to red pill, I would say, some of your family members, of course, first pray for them. Second, bring up things in conversation, about the truth. For instance, we talk about this all the time.
Right.
Well, okay. Well, I'm curious about something. What are the ingredients? And I'm also curious about the fact that, there have been, these type of things in the past. But in the past, it took so many amount of years for it to get approved, by the CDC and different other people. Why is this one so rushed and emerged? Why do you think they're pushing this so much? Just like bringing up, asking questions in conversation, and it's your family, so family members, you can ask them anything, and
or you can try.
You can try. Some people you can try, but others it's just like, oh, okay, well, they know. I threw the bait out there. I showed them evidence. They know, but they choose to do difference. But other family members, you can question them like, hey, what do you think about this? And then see what they say. Questions always help to red pill people.
That's true. That's true.
Questions. When you ask questions, it always does.
Right.
Because then you'll find out too that a lot of your family members really don't know the truth or statistics. Why? Because they've only relied on what they've seen on TV and what TV has been telling them.
Right. Or what they've been told by other people that might not have their best interest in mind.
Exactly. But
Right.
I tell them, I say, well, hey, how do you know what they're telling you on TV is true? Have you actually gone to the website? Have you done your research? Have you seen how many people have died from,
Right.
It's right there on the website. I mean, you can actually go and see. They're saying that nobody's dying, but if you go here, you can actually, there's statistics that show,
Right.
Why is that? And you'll find out a lot of your family members don't know. And it's like, all right, well, I encourage you to do your research and, don't just allow the TV to tell you, but, maybe you should kind of look at things for yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I hear that a lot. Everybody's like, research, I'm telling you what I found, but research, make sure you do your due diligence. And it makes total sense because before we're just like been spoon fed everything, and
yeah. And they have to put the truth out there somewhere. They have to. It's just that they're not putting it out through MSM.
Right.
Because, it's that particular percentage of people that they know that's just going to go by what they say.
I know.
They put all that on MSM, but online, or if you look in the book, they're actually putting truth in there. Like they're telling you what they're doing, So I have to tell you something. They know the majority is just going to sit in front of the TV, but those who seek and really dig, they'll put it in the book or online and make you kind of dig for it. But it's out there. The truth is out there.
It is. And it's so hard for me now to really just sit down and watch even TV shows anymore. I mean, unless I know it's a really good movie, which sometimes it's hard to find those, but I'm constantly researching. Like my immediate family, they're like, are you okay in there? Because I'm always in here researching and looking up stuff. And I'm just like, I just want to know. I'm just like so thirsty for knowledge and truth. And, I'm just constantly researching or looking at books or, and they're just like, are you okay in there? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
They lose me in here all the time. So.
Oh, yeah.
But I still take time to be with them. But you know what I mean? It's just, I can't watch.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to sit down and watch, binge watch any shows or, because I'm just like, well, let's watch a documentary. And they're like, oh, Mom.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like with my wife and I, we'll send each other stuff that we find out or that pops up on the news. She'll text me something or I'll send her something, just to keep each other abreast on what's going on. Because, there's even sometimes where there's things that I don't know. And she does her research for me and she finds out stuff and sends it to me. And it's like,
oh, awesome.
Good.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
It's like we want to know. It's like, now we're kind of, in an area where there's a lot of people who, being in New Jersey, first and foremost, it's just a lot of people that, let me take that back because after our election that we just had, it turns out that a lot of people who voted blue actually turned and voted red. So I believe Jersey is now a mostly red state, I would say.
Oh, nice.
Based on that last New Jersey election. But there's still a lot of people who, they just don't know. And they just rely on what the media says. And that's not right, So I always like to know and have the information. So when I say something, it's like, here, let me show you.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yep, for sure. Oh my.
So always ask questions. It's like, when you want to really red pill somebody, ask them a question. You'll find out, that the answers that they give you, they'll show you if they really know or not.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to do it. Yes. How to red pill your friends and neighbors. Ask questions.
Ask questions. Yep. Hey, always ask questions. Is like good.
Yeah,
When
because then
you
you're getting
humble
them
yourself,
to think. You're getting them to think
yes,
about things and, like you said, express. And then you're like, well, then that might lead to another question, kind of thing.
yeah,
And it's hard because we weren't really taught how to question things in school either. We're just force fed, what this is the
right,
information, these are the books, that kind of stuff. And we're not taught to think, critically
right,
and stuff. So that's hard.
right,
You're not used to
exactly.
it.
Yeah, I mean, they should be talking more about critical thinking rather than critical race. Like,
Exactly.
let's switch that up. Why we got to be talking about critical race theory and all this other stuff, and why don't we
Right.
talk more about critical thinking so we can be able to think for ourselves and
Yes.
But no, it's all about control. I mean,
Yes.
we
And
want to
then telling
control
us
it.
what to think, and how to feel. And oh my.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
But the good news is we have the upper hand. There's more of us than there are of them, and I
Right.
think it's good to encourage people to think for themselves so that we can have more people who can really wake up and really take charge. I think that's a part of that's probably maybe 90% of freedom is being able to think for yourself.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh my, yes, you're right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. Yep.
Yes. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So how are things going on your channel?
Good. We're growing, sure, slowly but surely, and got a nice group of subscribers there, and everybody is happy. People are still curious of what's going on, and
Mhm.
and I try to share more of the spiritual intel as opposed to the physical. Like I share people, what things are going on in the world, but I always like to share what God is saying. Always like to share what God has shown me personally, what God has been showing others, and so that people can kind of consider certain things and put two and two together. And what God is doing right now, I mean, obviously the war is already won.
Yes.
I always tell people, listen, this, and I put a video up and I said, look, this is not a war with God against Satan, because God has already defeated Satan. Like,
Right.
that already ended it when Satan was kicked out of heaven. All right, so that happened a long time ago.
Hmm.
But what Satan is trying to do is to keep you from knowing that he's already defeated,
Yes.
and keep you from,
Disinformation.
yeah, it's disinformation. And so it's like you need to understand that. I mean, well, actually, you need to go back to Genesis 1 and see see what did God created. Genesis 1:26. What did God created you to do? To have dominion, right?
That's right.
Over the
Yeah.
earth, over everything over the earth. So it's like the
Right.
enemy doesn't want you to know all these things. So he wants to keep you in darkness. That's what
Oh
darkness is
my,
all about.
yes.
Darkness
Hmm.
is all about not knowing. So, we have quite a few people on the channel that are still learning and understanding what's going on and things like that. And it's funny,
Right.
I love my subscribers because I learn from them as well. You'll
Right.
find out, like, in their comments, they're posting comments about different things that they've experienced and that they know, and it's like, oh wow, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
So I love that. I really love that. I got to get you on there one evening or one day where we can do a show and introduce you to my
Yeah.
subscribers.
Oh,
I
that'd
think
be
that
awesome. I would love that. That would be so much
yeah,
fun. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, you
yeah,
do. You learn so much from people. And I
yeah.
mean, I love the people's comments. They're really mostly very kind and just,
Mhm.
encouraging. And they're like, thank you for doing this. And you're like, great, I'm happy to, I'm just here to bless other people. And, that's the main
Yeah,
purpose for my channel is, to bless people and, to
yeah.
be encouraging and to try to share truth that I find. And, I mean,
Mhm.
like I'm no intel expert either. I just want to be a part of this, what God's doing. And that's the main reason I'm doing mine too. So
Yeah, well, you're doing an awesome job, and you know
thank
what?
you.
None of us are really intel experts, because even with those who do have the inside intel,
Right.
they really don't know what's going to happen the next day. You know what I mean? It's like intel is always changing day by day. I mean, we're in a war, so in war, you're really not going to know the truth until after it happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like only thing you could do is just see what's going on, see what's being said, and consider what is being said, and get the truth from God. God will give you
Exactly.
the truth. He'll let you know what's true. But you're doing an awesome job, and just
Oh,
for you to
thank
have your
you.
channel,
Oh,
I
thanks.
mean, just for you to have this channel to put out information and to share light on people, it's always good. It's always good to
Oh,
do.
well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, because you do want to make a difference. You really do, and it's not to make money or, to have 1 million subscribers, or it's nothing
Right.
like that. Because when I was first considering doing a channel, I was just like, I don't know, should I do this? I don't know if this is me. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to teach and, be in front of kids and do things like that. But it's just like, well, this is going to be around a lot of people, different people.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, okay, I'll just try it and see what happens. So that's kind of what I did. So
Wow, you're doing good. Look, you got a lot of subscribers, and it's only
thanks.
growing. So
Thank you.
it's a good platform to have, man. And people need you. People
Oh,
need you.
well, thank
So
you.
keep
You're
it
so
up.
kind. Thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, people really, really need you. We need more teachers, specifically here, because what's going to happen when all this stuff is, really moves into the Jubilee? You
That's
know what I mean?
true.
You're going to have a lot
Yeah.
of people. You're going to have a lot of people still who are like, "What in the world just happened?" Like, okay,
Yes.
everything is good, but what? How did this happen? And so we got to
Right.
be able to teach them and show people, like, look, this is what's been going on in the past, so that we have to teach them so this doesn't happen again.
Oh my goodness, you're so right on that. Yeah, I would love to do something like with teaching. I mean, I love working with
Yeah,
kids and stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
that'd be right up my alley. So
yeah,
whatever that looks like, I don't know what it would look like, but yeah.
yeah, and especially the kids, because after what the kids are going through, all these children that are being saved now from these dumbs and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
trafficking and all that. I mean, it's like there's going to be a lot of work to do once all this is like on
That's
the straight and
true.
narrow. It's going to be a lot of work to do.
That's a really good point though, that we all need to remember that, yeah, this is just the beginning. Like there's, like you said, there's so much work to be done. And it's like, maybe everybody should be thinking about, okay, what can I do to help? You think of President Kennedy saying, ask not what your country, wait a minute, I'm going to mess it up. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I think that's right.
Exactly.
And we got to think about that. It's like, what can we do for our country? And then what can we do for our world? Because the world's going to
Yes.
need us too, and we need to be thinking about that now before, everything, happen. I mean, it's happening, but, before all the information comes out and so forth. We need to be thinking about, okay, well, what can I do to help others? And
Exactly.
that's really important. I think that's really important for all of us. How can I serve? How can I help?
Yes, that's what it's about. It's about serving.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For sure. Great.
Well, this is good.
All right. Yeah. Do you have any other thing you want to talk? I mean, we could talk about a million other things, but
I know. Look, I'll save it for next week, because I do want to come back on with you next week, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye to
Friday.
everybody. Thanks for joining us. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week then.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, guys.